Barry with another handy tip. This one I want to talk to you about our threaded fittings and how much thread tape to use. All our threaded fittings are tapered, so that means less thread tape, but you still need to use enough thread tape for the job. Thread tape needs to go on clockwise. Try and keep the start of the thread reasonably clean so you can start it off reasonably easy and building as you get to the back. At the least 4 rounds, building as you go back. You don't need much out the front, your seal is at the back of the thread. Into the fitting, starts reasonably easy. The rule is hand tight, and depending on the fitting, 1 to 2 full turns. It's about the seal, it's not about how tight it is. For more information, you can visit our website hansonproducts.co.nz.
Welcome back to New Zealand Dairy Farmer. We're in Christchurch catching up with Ron PELLOW about the role of the South Island Dairy Development Centre and how it can benefit farmers, not only in the South Island, but nationwide.
What's the main area of research here at the Lincoln University Dairy Farm?
Well, this is not a research farm. We make a particular emphasis of acknowledging it's a commercial demonstration farm, not a research farm. There's a lot of things we can do that are research related, or a lot of research that can happen where we monitor things that are important, and we'll do it if it adds value to our understanding, to our farm. But we'll never do things like split the herd in two and see whether treatment A is better than treatment B. This is about a commercial farm making commercial decisions the way that every other farm has to, and if we believe some intervention, some alternative mechanism to what we're doing, some alternative system is going to be better, we've got to be sure it will stack up across the entire herd, or for as many animals as will benefit, or as many paddocks as will benefit, and then justify it in front of yourselves, farmers across New Zealand, our local farmers right here, and make sure that it's money well spent.
So you're taking your lead from local farmers in terms of the sort of research they'd be wanting to put into place on their properties?
We try and keep our eyes widely spread across the horizon in terms of leading research coming up from the research institutes in New Zealand. From leading farmers, we get a lot of valuable input from some leading farmers locally and scientists locally here as well at the university and our partners within CHRISTCHURCH.
How do you sift through those ideas and work out what's going to give the best bang for your buck, if you like?
With interest. We have opposing ideas all the time, and the interesting fact is, how do you judge the best decisions from this group of people and that group of people and synergise those into achieving the farm outcomes? But we have a very clear steer in terms of what the outcomes are that we must achieve for this farm, and it's to maximise sustainable profit, considering the whole farm business, which means not just the milking platform but our support land required for the operation of this farm as well. And we must do those things without increasing our total environmental footprint, and that's something that we're still defining, but in essence we want to be more efficient with what we have rather than bring in more inputs to make more money. It may be a good strategy for other farms, but for us it's about being more efficient with what we've got.
Are you looking at research that will benefit the whole of the South Island, or mainly the Canterbury area, Canterbury dairy farmers?
Well, we have to be Canterbury specific in terms of that's the resources, the climatic effects that we operate in here. But often the principles that we operate to are applicable across the South Island, across irrigated and non-irrigated farms, largely across New Zealand, and often across pastoral agriculture, so not even specific to the dairy industry. The grazing principles, for example, that this farm's well known for, are applicable for grazed pasture. It's not a dairy specific or Canterbury irrigated specific practice. The principle can be applied across any grazing system in New Zealand, or any grazing system.
What's some of the research that you have carried out that's had the greatest amount of uptake by farmers generally?
Well, probably the greatest demonstration that's occurred has been the impact of consistent grazing residuals on pasture quality offered at the next grazing. And so how we achieve that grazing after grazing, year after year, has set this farm apart in terms of the single differentiating factor for it, And really that allowed us to then leverage off that profile and take it into the next phase that we're in now, which we term precision farming. We're still delivering some of the things we want to under that title, but around putting more emphasis not just into grazing residuals, but into animal intake to drive productivity and therefore profitability.
And what are some of the major advances you've seen along the way in terms of methods that you've used on the farm that farmers have taken up themselves and been able to improve their productivity by?
Well, we changed a lot of things 2 years ago when we changed our stocking rate a little bit and moved away from just looking at grazing residuals to this wider focus around productivity. And so we've seen some other farmers do similar things. We've seen, for example, more use of gibberellic acid because that was something we saw benefit from here, and we know other farmers have made similar decisions and seen that benefit themselves. We've optimised our stocking rate, and that's probably an ongoing discussion around what that truly means and how it's applied for other farms. For us, that meant a small decrease in total cow numbers, but a much smaller change in total live weight per hectare. So cow numbers dropped 5%, the live weight only dropped 2.5%. That enabled us to lift milk production per cow to much closer to 100% of live weight than it had been. And that alone gave us more production from fewer animals last year, and therefore more production in terms of our total inputs. So that's something that's been taken up by a smaller degree, but there's perhaps room to optimise to a much greater degree than what we were doing here.
And this is where some of your work with irrigation comes in, doesn't it, in keeping the pasture growing through the dry period, so the feed is there in front of the cows.
Absolutely. Irrigation is a supplement in Canterbury. If you compare our system to, say, North Island farms without irrigation, we have much more consistent growth rates through the spring, summer, early autumn period because of irrigation. But in saying that, they're not flat. Our growth rates are not consistent week to week. They will drop, or if we get a cold southerly, a few cold days come through, and that, because of our stocking rate, our demand can play havoc with matching feed supply and demand. But we operate to a higher level because of irrigation, and we know with some consistency, if we get the heat, reasonable heat at least, we will grow high quality pasture right through that summer period.
After the break, we return to talk further with Farm Manager Peter HANCOX about irrigation, innovation and practical application. See you after the break.